From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Friday, August the 21st, 2020. 12 rockets were fired from Gaza at southern Israel overnight last night. 9 were intercepted by the Iron Dome missile defense system. One home in Sderot was severely damaged in the attacks. It is unclear if the damage was from a rocket or from fragments from an Iron Dome interception. The couple who live in the home did not wake up when the red alert sirens blared and were inside at the time of the explosion. Fortunately, they were unharmed. Shlomo Malka told Hebrew media outlets it's a miracle that we're okay. The IDF struck multiple Hamas terror targets in Gaza in response with airstrikes, they wrote, on military facilities, weapons production sites, and underground infrastructure. Hamas warned Israel that it will not hesitate to wage a campaign against Israel if the escalation and bombings, they wrote, continue. Israel's defense minister Benny Gantz warned Hamas in turn, the IDF is ready. It defends and will continue to defend the residents of the South and will attack anyone who attacks us and deliver a very harsh blow. Meanwhile, more incendiary devices were launched from Gaza at southern Israel today, sparking at least 20 fires in the area. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo submitted a bid at the United Nations in New York City yesterday to reinstate sanctions on Iran. The so-called snapback sanctions request follows the rejection last week by the UN Security Council of the U.S. proposal to extend the arms embargo on the Islamic Republic. Pompeo tweeted that he hand-delivered a letter to the Security Council president to formally notify the council, he wrote, of something we all know too well, Iran's failure to meet its commitments under the terrible nuclear deal. The bid was met with rejection from the Security Council. Britain, France, and Germany released a joint statement noting that the U.S. withdrew from the JCPOA, the Iran deal, saying we cannot therefore support this action, which is incompatible with our current efforts to support the JCPOA. Pompeo responded to the European countries saying they chose to side with Ayatollahs. Earlier yesterday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu tweeted that Israel stands proudly and firmly with the United States, as do governments across the Middle East who opposed the JCPOA and now support the restoration of sanctions publicly. The leaders of the Conference of Presidents of major American Jewish organizations, Arthur Stark, William Daroff, and Malcolm Hoenlein, expressed their support and called as well for urgent action. They wrote, this regime openly and repeatedly calls for the downfall of the United States and for the genocide of the Jewish people through the annihilation of the Jewish state. Iran must not be given license to become a greater threat to the stability and security of the Middle East and the entire world. And Israel's new ambassador to the UN, Gilad Erdan, echoed these sentiments, speaking outside the UN yesterday. Erdan said reimposing the UN sanctions on Iran is a critical step to curbing Iranian aggression, which threatens the entire world. Over 30 headstones were damaged at the Oudtshoorn Jewish Cemetery, one of the oldest Jewish cemeteries in South Africa, about 200 miles east of Cape Town. Bernard Herman, who leads the community's Jewish burial society, the Chevra Kadisha, said that the affected headstones would be restored. He said that the vandalism was the first bad incident they'd really experienced at this cemetery. And the only synagogue in the city of Graz in Austria was vandalized. Graffiti, including the slogan "Free Palestine," was discovered Wednesday on a wall of the synagogue, which was built from the bricks of the original structure that the Nazis destroyed in 1938. Well, another advancement in testing for the coronavirus. An Israeli COVID-19 breath test is showing promising results in clinical trials in Wuhan, China, correctly identifying all positive patients, though with a small margin of error regarding healthy patients. Professor Hassam Haik of the Technion Israel Institute of Technology told the Times of Israel today that the device is fully automatic and does not require anyone to come into contact with the patient. He said you just blow into the device, which is the size of a smartphone, for 2 to 3 seconds from a distance of 2 centimeters away. He said there are no accessories, it requires no lab processing, and it gives results within 30 seconds. He said he hoped that the new device would be regulated and available in about 6 months. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Friday, August the 21st. Live Shabbat services are coming up from the Central Synagogue, followed by Kabbalat Shabbat services from the Hampton Synagogue. At 8, stand-up comic Judy Gold sits down with Dave Barry, Adam Mansbach, and Alan Zweibel at the 92nd Street Y. At 9, it's the documentary Hasidism and Mysticism, followed by a concert of Nefesh Mountain. Then it's a replay of the Hampton Synagogue services, followed by a replay of the services from Central Synagogue. And coming up next, a look at this week's Torah portion. And that's the JBS News Update for Friday, August the 21st, 2020. I'm Teisha Bader. Stay healthy, stay well, and Shabbat Shalom.